What's going on, guys? This is Barker, back with another NBA video, talking about the NBA, and if you notice, I put up a little decoration of the Pistons. Today's video has nothing to do with the Pistons, but obviously I'm a fan of them. I'm going to decorate this so it's not as plain and just a green wall in the future. But today, I'm going to be talking about Kevin Porter Jr. and why I think he is going to be the next James Harden for the Houston Rockets. Now, do I think he's going to be an MVP and All-Star every season he plays? I'm not sure. He's young. He's 20 years old. But he's showing flashes of James Harden-esque play. And I'm going to kind of go over why I think that and what I think he can be. And what the Rockets can be in the future. So first off, the similarities. Kevin Porter Jr.'s favorite player is James Harden. Number one. Number two, Kevin Porter Jr. is the youngest player to score 50 points and 10 plus assists at 20 years old. Obviously, if you're a Rockets fan or James Harden fan, you know that man scored the ball on the Houston Rockets, especially his MVP season. He was dropping 30, 40, 50, it felt like every single night, and 10 plus assists. James Harden was a monster. Kevin Porter Jr. is also looking like a monster. He completely destroyed the Bucks, one of the best defensive teams in the league. And he had Drew Holiday on him, one of the best defenders in the league, and he shot 7 for 10 against him, which is absolutely amazing. Kevin Porter Jr. this season, at 20 years old, is averaging 16.7 points and 6.4 assists. He's 6'4". James Harden is 6'5". At 20 years old, James Harden was a rookie, only averaging 9.9 points and 1.8 assists. So already, Kevin Porter Jr. has got the jump on him, averaging 16, almost like 7 more points and almost 5 more assists. And James Harden had his breakout season after being traded to the Rockets, going from 16.8 points and 3.7 assists to 25.9 points and 5.8 assists at 23 years old and becoming a first-time All-Star. Now, obviously, it's a little different because Kevin Porter Jr. was traded when he was 20 years old, not 23 years old, like James Harden. And Kevin Porter Jr. is having a breakout season, obviously, just like I said with James Harden, after being traded to the Houston Rockets, going from 10 points and 2.2 assists his rookie year to now his sophomore year, averaging 16.7 points and 6.4 assists at 20 years old. James Harden didn't average 16 points until he was 22 and won Sixth Man of the Year on OKC and made it to the finals, yada yada. We know the situation with James Harden, but Kevin Porter Jr. is an absolute baller. Obviously, efficiency-wise, he doesn't compare to James Harden, but he's young. He's 20 years old, about to be 21, I believe. He will get there in time. You just need to give him that time. And, players around him like Christian Wood, who's a potential future All-Star, John Wall, who's been an All-Star, young pieces like Jayshawn Tate and Kenyon Martin Jr. The Rockets potentially have a good squad on their hands. It's just a question of, I don't know what the front office sees them as. Obviously, they did terrible this season, even with Victor Oladipo, so I'm curious if they're going to go in a rebuild or if they're going to try to compete. I'm not really sure. And another similarity that I forgot to mention, they both shoot left-handed, which obviously shooting left-handed is not common. So that's kind of also fun to see. And another just funny fact, not really similarity, obviously Kevin Porter Jr. got suspended for going to a strip club during, the COVID regulations, and then dropped 50 points and 10 plus assists, which is funny because that's literally something James Harden would do. The man got his jersey retired at a strip club. Like, if you don't believe me, there is a strip club in Houston that has his jersey in the rafters because he paid so much money at that strip club. Can you believe that? A superstar getting his jersey retired at a strip club. I think that's so funny. Obviously, Kevin Porter Jr. has an amazing ceiling. Do I think he's going to be a future MVP and, 9-time All-Star? I'm not sure. All I'm saying is he's on track to have a great career in Houston, and the sky's the limit for him. As long as he can improve his efficiency and just keep stepping up his offensive role, sky's the limit for this man, and one day he might be the next James Harden for the Houston Rockets. Let me know what you guys think about the video. If you liked it, like it. If you liked it, also subscribe. I make videos all the time about the NBA, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. Peace.